What's up, everyone? Welcome back to AI for Product Managers. I'm Pranav. This is episode 13. We are currently in phase 2 and we are done with phase 1. You can take a look back into the channel. So, around 10 videos in phase 1. So, we recently started with phase 2 and currently we are running the third video in the phase 2 uh, journey. So, in the last episode, we have explored how AI can turn hundreds of user interviews into actionable insights in just few hours, right? Today, we are taking the next logical step using those insights to answer one of the biggest questions every product team faces. So, what should we build first? This is the question. So, let's start with a reality that almost every product team experiences, which is roadmap prioritization often takes weeks, right? So teams spend countless hours debating dozens of features, yet the final outcome is not always driven by the customer value or the data, right? The executive priorities, customer escalations, stakeholder influence, technical preferences, and also the personal opinions can all shape the roadmap. Okay, so that's not necessarily wrong because product management is full of trade-offs, but it also means a significant amount of time is spent discussing the items that could be evaluated more objectively. So imagine taking the same backlog, the 40 or 50 features, and running it through a consistent AI-powered scoring engine in just few minutes. So instead of replacing product decisions, AI handles the repetitive scoring and allowing the teams to focus their discussions on the handful of features where the business judgment, strategic direction, and context truly matters. Okay, that's exactly what we will cover today. And just to be clear, this is not about letting AI decide your roadmap, it's about using AI to remove inconsistency, reduce bias, and automate the mechanical part of prioritization. So, while leaving the final decisions where they belong with the product teams, the best product managers won't be replaced by AI. They will be the ones who know when to trust AI and when to override it. Okay. So the good news is you don't need to be technical to do this. If you can write a prompt in ChatGPT, Claude, or Gemini, you will be able to build the entire workflow we are covering today. So here is what you will learn in the episode today. Why traditional prioritization frameworks often fall short, a practical 7-dimension AI scoring framework, and the exact prompts you can use, and a live feature prioritization walkthrough, when you should override AI recommendations, and how to walk into roadmap discussions with a transparent data backed prioritization process. So, if that sounds useful, don't forget to hit a like and subscribe. So, let's dive in. And okay, yeah, before the how, let's sit with the why part because once you see the real problem, right, the fix makes total sense. Here is the truth nobody likes to say out loud. The number one reason roadmaps fail is not a shortage of good ideas. Every team has more good ideas than they can build. Okay. The roadmaps fail because of bad prioritization. And the bad prioritization almost always means the loudest voice in the room who wins it. Okay. So look at the left side, the three ways this goes sideways, right? One, the loudest voice wins. The person with the biggest title or the customer threatening to leave jumps the queue regardless of what the data says. And the second one is our frameworks are basically dressed up guessing, right? You sit in a room and argue whether a feature impact is a 7 or an 8. So nobody actually knows it. Okay. The two options wearing a lab coat. And the third one is, and this is a sneaky one, humans just can't score consistently across a big list. Okay. You are sharp on feature number 3, but by the feature number 40 you are tired of it, right? You're tired of looking into it. You are anchoring on whatever you scored first. and you are unconsciously favoring whoever asked most recently. Okay, and that's a stat I keep coming back to on the right. 73% of PM say stakeholder pressure influences their roadmap more than the data does. And those 73%, that's not a product management, that's product management with extra politics. Now, here is what got me to build this. That experiment on the bottom right, I took a real Q2 backlog, 47 features we would been arguing about for weeks. I rescored the whole thing with AI in about 10 minutes, and it landed on roughly the same ranking we reached after three separate meetings. So think about what that means. The mechanical part, the part that takes that 3 weeks, right? An AI does in 10 minutes and get 80% of the way there. Okay, which frees you up to spend the real time on the 20% that is genuinely hard, right? So that is a price. So how do we actually do it? So let me show you the engine first. Here is the whole system on one slide. The four steps: define, gather, score, sequence. Hold this map into your head because the rest of the video is just us zooming into one of these four boxes. Step one is define. Before you score anything, you decide what's good even means for your product. That's your dimensions and their weights. And I'll give you the seven IOs. This is the step that bakes your strategy into the math. Okay. And the step two is gather. This is where you pull the real signals, qualitative, quantitative, and strategic. And I want to flag this now, and this is the step people skip, and it's the one that matters the most. Okay, which brings me to the line at the bottom. So if you skip the data step, you are not doing the AA prioritization. You are just automating the exact same guesses you were making before, like faster, like garbage in and garbage out. So step three is score. This is where the AA does the heavy lifting. It rates every feature on every dimension. You gives you composite from 0 to 100 and crucially tells you why and how confident it is, not a black box. Okay. And step 4, sequence. A ranked list is not a roadmap. Sequencing turns those scores into an actual quarterly plan that accounts for effort and dependencies. And because every item has a score behind it, one you can defend in any room. So let's get into the next slide. Let's talk about why the frameworks you already know break down in practice, because I'm not here to trash them. I'm here to show you where they leak, right? The rise, reach, impact, confidence, and effort, which is great on paper, but how do you actually score impact on a 1 to 10 scale? So you guess, and your guess is differently from your colleague's guess, right? And neither of you has data behind it. So you end up in a meeting arguing 7 versus 8, and the whole thing becomes a theater. Okay. And coming to Moscow, must have, should have, could have, won't have features. The problem, everything becomes a must have because nobody wants their baby in the won't have bucket, right? It turns into a political negotiation instead of prioritization. And the Kano needs expensive customer surveys that are stable by the time you have analyzed them. And coming to value versus effort, both axes are estimates. So you're plotting guesses against the guesses and calling it data driven, right? And coming to stack ranking, whoever spoke last or loudest wins it. So purely a recency bias. Okay. Here is the thing, they all share the core problem on the right. It's not that the frameworks are dumb, it's that they all or rely on human scoring consistently across dozens of items. And we are genuinely terrible at that. We get tired. So we anchor on the first few things we looked at, we drift towards whoever asked most recently or most loudly. And this is exactly where AI flips the table, right? It scores item 47 with the same rigor as item 1. It does not get tired at the bottom of the list, and it does not care one bit whether the CEO or an intern requested the feature. It just looks at the inputs, so we are not throwing our rice or your dimensions. We are keeping the good thinking and handing the consistency problem to the machine. So let's define those dimensions. Okay. So step one, defining the 7 dimensions. Step one is define your dimensions. This is where your strategy becomes a math. So don't rush it. I use the 7 dimensions, and each one carries a weight that reflects how much it matters for my product right now. Okay. So user pain weighted 25%, the biggest slice. How badly does this problem hurt the users, right? It's the heaviest weight because we build for users, not for ourselves. The data comes straight from last episode. You research synthesis, right? Plus support ticket volume, revenue impact. The second one is revenue impact, right? 20%. Does it make or save money? Source it from your sales pipeline and churn data, because we are at the end of the day a business, right? And strategic fit 15%. So does it push our company OKRs and vision forward? And coming to reach 15%, a feature that touches 100% of users is just different from one that helps 2%, right? Then effort 10%, and notice it's inverted. Uh, Easy things score higher because cheap wins should rise. Competitive gap, which is 10%. Are we dangerously behind the market? That is one thing. And technical risk 5%, also inverted, like low risk scores higher. So now the single most important thing on this slide is the green line at the bottom. These are my weights of my product at my stage. If you are a seed stage startup fighting for survival, you might crank revenue up to 30% and drop strategic fit to 5. If you are an incumbent getting attacked, maybe competitive gap jumps to 20. And the 7 dimensions are solid starting template, but the weights are yours, right? Decide them on purpose and write down why. The sentence of reasoning is what you will defend later when a stakeholder pushes it back. Okay. And the step two is gather real data, gather your data. And I'll say it again because it's the whole game, right? The AI scoring is only as good as what you feed it. Garbage in, garbage out. So let's talk about the 3 buckets of data you want. Qualitative on the left. This is your user research synthesis from episode 12, the themes, the pain points, how often they came up, plus support ticket themes. What are people complaining about and how often, right? Sales objections. What do prospects say they need before they'll buy? And exit interviews. Why did the customers who left actually leave? Right? That's a gold one. The quantitative in the middle features usage analytics. What do people actually use versus what they say they use? Okay. Funnel conversion. When Where are they dropping off? Revenue per segment and NPS or CSAT broken down by feature area. So numbers that ground that feelings, right? Strategic on the right. Your company OKRs and strategy doc, the competitive landscape, your tech debt inventory, and your dependency map. What has to be built before that? Now, the call out at the bottom is the thing that takes the pressure off. You don't need every one of these for every scoring session. For some features, you will have rich data, tickets, usage, revenue. For others, you will have almost nothing. And that's fine because the AI will flag those as low confidence, right? That confidence signal is honestly one of the best parts of this whole approach. It tells you exactly which scores to trust and exactly where do you need to dig up more evidence before you bet the quarter on it. Okay. Step three is scoring. This is the prompt that does the work, and it's on the left. Pass and copy it if you want. I'll wait. So uh, let me walk through why it's built the way it is, because every block ends its place. Okay. The first one is, before anything else, picture the roadmap meeting without this. I think notifications are most urgent, so no mobile is a priority. Argument, right? Highest title wins. Now the after you walk into the same meeting holding a ranked list with reasoning attached to every score, the conversation shifts from opinion to evidence, right? That shift is the entire point of what I am about to show you. Okay, the prompt, it start with context. You are a product prioritization analyst, then your company type and stage, your quotas OKRs, the key metric you are trying to move, and your team capacity. This context is the difference between the AI guessing and the AI actually understanding your situation. So do not skip it. Then I ask it to score each feature 1 to 10 on all 7 dimensions. Calculate the weighted composite using the weights we set. And here is the important bit. Return the reasoning for each score and confidence level and the top three dependencies between the features. Okay. And look at the right side because this is why it actually works. One, context first. You get judgment, not generic guessing. Two, every score shows its reasoning, so it's not black box, right? If you disagree with a number, you can see exactly why it landed there and argue with it. And the third one is confidence flags, right? When the data is thin, it tells you instead of confidently making something up, right? And the fourth one is it surfaces dependencies. It will catch the feature B secretly needs feature A first, okay? Which is the thing humans forget until sprint planning blows up. The context, reasoning, confidence, dependencies, that's the prompt. So let's run it live. Here is the live output, and this is where it gets real on the left. The AI has scored our feature list, ranked it, and tagged each one with a confidence level, right? Look at the top, spot notifications 82, a high confidence. Why 82? Because read the reasoning on the right, because this is the part that wins the room. User pain scored a 9 because we have 47 support tickets a week about notification overload. That's not my opinion, that's a number again, right? And the revenue impact is 7. 3 enterprise prospects named it in sales calls. And strategic fit an 8. It directly serves our Q2 churn reduction OKR. Okay. And composite 82 and high confidence because the data behind it is strong and notice it's showing its work. Okay. You can look at any one of those subscores and challenge it. Okay. Now look at the bottom of the list because this is my favorite moment. API V2 scores a 56 with low confidence. On pure score, it's near the bottom. Okay. User pain only a 4 because honestly, only power users are asking, and effort is also a 4 because it's a massive build. By the numbers, deprioritize it. But the API unblocks one enterprise deal worth $2 million. So should we override the score that build it anyway? Maybe. And here is the whole point that is not the AI failing. The AI did its job. It scored the evidence it had and honestly told you its confidence is low. What is just did is surface the exact judgment call that deserves a human conversation, right? Instead of letting it hide inside a gut feeling, it turned I have feeling about the API into the API scores 56. Okay, but here is the $2 million reason we might override. That's fundamentally better conversation. We will come back to overrides in a minute. Okay. Now, step four is sequencing because a ranked list still is not a roadmap. Scoring tells you what matters, sequencing tells you when to build it. Okay. After scoring, I asked the AI one more thing. Give these scores a team of 4 engineers of 12 weeks and these dependencies with what's the optimal build sequence. And it reasons through a few things and tired human forgets. Like high score items should come first, but not if they depend on something unbuilt, right? Easy wins should be front loaded to build team momentum. Risky work should come after the fundamental pieces, and you can start your most complex project on the day one. The output is on the slide, like quarter one, high score, low effort, the quick wins, onboarding wizard, smart notification, bulk export, the fast value, early momentum, and it buys you the credibility with stakeholders. In quarter two, the high score, high effort work that needed, like Q1's foundation first, the mobile redesign, and phase one of that API. Quarter three is like the strategic bets that pay off longer term. API phase two, advanced analytics. Okay, and here is why this version of the roadmap is different because every single item has a score and a reason behind why it sits where it sits. Okay, so when someone asks why is mobile in Q2 and not in Q1, you don't say it felt right. You say it scores a 71, but it's high effort and depends on the Q1 work. Okay, so front loading it would have started our quick wins. Okay, that's a roadmap you can actually defend. Okay, and now the hardest part because anyone who tells you to just do whatever the AA says is selling you something. A prioritization is the starting point, not the final word. Okay, so let's talk about when you should override it. That's the left side. One, a CEO or board mandate. Sometimes there is a strategic direction, a pivot, an acquisition, a partnership. This is not in your data yet, like valid override, which is, and two, a customer emergency. Your biggest account is about to churn a need of specific thing, so override, but write it down, right? And third one, technical foundation. Sometimes you must build the boring infrastructure before the shiny feature, and the AI might not see that dependency. And the fourth one, deep domain intuition, right? If you have lived in this space for 10 years and you know something the data has not catch up to it, then trust it. Bad document why. And five, stale or low, the confidence data. When the AI itself flags low confidence and you have context, it does not. And your knowledge wins there. Okay. So the rule tying all five together, document every override, write down the AI score, you override and your reason. This does two things, right? It keeps you honest. You can't override everything without it becoming obvious. And it builds trust as well. Stakeholders can see you are making deliberate, reasoned calls, not arbitrary ones. Okay. And which flows straight into the right side. How this change how this changes the stakeholder conversation. The old way, I think we should build X. We will, I think Y, and I am the VP, right? Fine. The new way is X scores 82. Let me repeat it. The old way, I think we should build X. Well, I think of Y. I'm the VIP because, which is fine. The new way is X scores 82. Here's the breakdown across user pain, revenue, and our Q2 OKRs. So if you think a dimension is weighted wrong or I am missing the data, let's fix the inputs. So you're not arguing opinions anymore. Okay, you're discussing the methodology, which is totally a different room. Okay, and the power move at the bottom is this is a pro tip. Share your scoring model with stakeholders before the roadmap review. Let them challenge the weights and dimensions upfront. So then when the scores come out, okay, they have already bought into that method. They can debate a single score, but they can torch the whole approach because they helped to build it. Okay. All right, let's log this in because watching a tutorial changes nothing. Doing it does. Left side, the whole engine on one breath. Step one, define 7 dimensions and weight them for your stage. Step two is gather qualitative, quantitative, and strategic signals. And step three is run the scoring prompt 1 to 10 on each dimension and demand reasoning and a confidence level. And the step four is sequence the scores into a quarterly plan that respect the effort and dependencies. And the plus rescore monthly. This is the quite superpower. What used to be a full day prioritization offsite is now a 30-minute refresh. Now research moves user pain, the fresh revenue data moves revenue impact, a competitor launch moves a competitive gap. So your roadmap becomes a living thing instead of a document that's stale the day after you publish it. Okay. And because you keep the history, you can literally show the stakeholders API v2 mode from Q3 to Q2 because the enterprise deal pushed its revenue score from 6 to a 9. That's transparent and defensible decision making as well. So here is your homework, 3 steps. Do it in this week. One is like list your top 10 features or backlog items, one sentence each with whatever data you have. Two is define your weights. What are you actually optimizing for right now? Growth, revenue, or retention? Let's drive the numbers. Three is run the scoring prompt on those 10. And when the ranking comes back, sit with the surprises and ask yourself the honest question: is the A wrong here? Or am I biased? Okay, so the single question is where the real learning happens. One experiment I genuinely love you to try: take last quarter's shipped features and score them retroactively. So, did you actually build your highest scoring work or did politics win? So, it's a humbling, incredibly useful little audit. So, next episode 14 will get hands-on and fun prototyping AI features with no code tools. I'll show you how to build a working AI prototype in 60 minutes without writing a line of code. So it's the fastest way to test an idea before you spend real engineering on it. Okay, so subscribe, ring the bell, and drop me a comment. What's the most political roadmap decision you have ever had to make? So I want the war stories. So I'm Pranav. This is this has been A for Product Managers, and I'll see you in episode 14. Peace. Thank you.